For Trump's inauguration just 3 days from now, it's going to look a little different. Dangerously cold temperatures will force Trump's inauguration inside to the Capitol Rotunda for the first time in 40 years. The president-elect explaining on Truth, quote, "I don't want to see people hurt or injured in any way. It is dangerous conditions for the tens of thousands of law enforcement, first responders, police, canines, and even horses." Meanwhile, the left's freaking out as America's tech giants flock to the inauguration. You got the Zuck, Tim Cook, even TikTok CEO is going to be there. But joyless Joy Reid is jealous.
They increasingly help decide what news you get, what you know about the world, and even what people think and believe. And the policies that these billionaires impose on their tech platforms have real-life consequences. That's what an oligarchy looks like. The world's richest tech bros and a couple of D-list celebrities paying millions of dollars to rub elbows at Mar-a-Lago, only concerned with how they're going to make more money and how to appease Donald Trump.
So they say, Katie, it's going to be 22 degrees, but with the wind chill factor, they always got to throw the wind chill factor in there.
Yeah.
It could go into the single digits. Is it weak to go inside?
According to Fox Weather, it's going to be in the single digits, as you said, with wind chill. I don't think it's weak because, Obama's trying to take a victory lap here, and David Axelrod's like, oh, he doesn't want to have it outside because he's worried about crowd size. During the Obama inauguration, there were a number of people who got very sick and ill and almost hypothermic. Some people got hypothermia and had to be treated in the medical tent because it was held outside. So for the safety of everybody, it's probably a good idea. I feel sorry for a lot of people who have flown in who are excited to be there, to see this historic moment, this amazing American comeback in person. I wish they could have it outside, but it is going to be very, very cold. And because of the crowds, it would take a lot of people to get in. But to the tech CEO issue, I think they want to work with Trump. They're interested in having conversations, as the liberals often do. But I'm very skeptical about the reasons they're changing their perspective here. Zuckerberg especially, they're getting rid of DEI, they're getting rid of the fact checkers, and they're saying it's a new age. It is, but you also have a Department of Justice coming in where you have people like Harmeet Dillon and Leo Terrell who are going to look at these companies and sue the pants off of them for discrimination and for violating the constitutional rights of Americans through certain kinds of censorship working with the government. So it's not just all about playing nice. It's about them making sure that they're not getting sued.
Leo 2.0. They better watch out.
Mm-hmm.
Judge Jeanine, it does, I wouldn't say take away from the pomp and circumstance, but it's going to be different. How do you feel about going inside?
Thrilled. I can't wear enough layers under the coats that I have. Yeah, I'm sure it's a disappointment. It's a disappointment for a lot of people. I'm sure it's a disappointment for the president. Yeah. But, people's health and safety matters. And at least he cares about that. I mean, there's no other reason to go inside. But I really want to talk about these tech CEOs. When we just heard Joy Reid complaining about the fact that these tech CEOs are bad, that, they're only concerned about making money and they're going to be controlling the news that we hear. Well, you didn't care about that when they were suppressing the First Amendment. You didn't care about that when they decided to deplatform us or deplatform a president. That didn't matter to you. But now that they're going to Donald Trump, it's offensive to her. And I'm sure it's racist somewhere in there. I just wasn't listening at some point. But, there's a reason. There's a couple of reasons. Look, they could make money with the Biden administration, siding with Biden, just like they can make money with the Trump administration, that it's in their business interest. I'm not saying they're going to get money from the government, but it's in their business interest. But think about it. What makes more sense for these tech CEOs to get involved with Donald Trump? Because the future is brighter with Donald Trump, because the economy is going to be better with Donald Trump, because the animal spirits are going to be higher with Donald Trump. So, don't tell me they're just doing it, to kiss his ring. Certainly, they're doing it for a business motivation, as well as the fact that they see a benefit to it. And by the way, social media is leaning right now. All of social media is leaning right. And it seems that the companies now are flipping their algorithms to lean right. And the longer they keep people on social media, obviously, the more advertising they're able to get in and the more revenue they make. So for the past year, the liberal agenda hasn't done so well for them. I think the next 4 years are going to be great. And the president, by the way, is not fooled by these tech CEOs. The president understands transactional.
Greg.
Yes.
The tech CEOs, are they afraid of getting frostbitten?
I don't know, and frankly, I don't care. I was thinking about what you said earlier about how I often make comments about people's appearance.
Yes.
And I'm not going to do that right now about Joy Reid, although everything she says is a bald-faced lie. And she's complaining about D-list celebrities. What is she, an A-list celebrity? A for asshat. By the way, you know what? I don't care if temperatures are in the single digit, because on that day, we're given a single digit to the Democrats and to idiots like Joy Reid. Although, I mean, even though the inauguration is inside, the 5 is going to be outside. And I've been talking to the producers about this, pointing out that William Henry Harrison, a president, died from pneumonia after his inauguration. And I want to ask our producers, why are you trying to kill us? What do you stand to gain by trying to have us murdered by the weather?
Well, good thing I can make a fire.
Okay.
Oh, good.
There we go.
No one believes I can make a fire?
Well,
I can make a fire if I'm given the right things to make it with.
Well, I could
Like
get an
a-
injunction.
Like a match
can I
and some
say a few
paper
words
and some
about this?
kindling.
Mind if I say a few words about
What do you want to talk about, Harold? Honestly,
I just want to respond
Can you make
to,
a fire?
to the topic that we're talking about here. I think
I
just
doubt
two
you
quick
can make a
things.
fire.
Two quick things. I
do you
think
know
everybody
Joy
should,
Reid, Harold?
I think everybody should
good
take
friend.
everybody should take the win here. It's a tradition. Business people and politicians talk. The most important investors in innovation and growth are these tech and innovation leaders. So I'm not surprised by it. I will say this, though. We talked about the billionaire stuff yesterday. In 2017, when President Trump was inaugurated, the number one person on the Forbes 400 list for billionaires is Bill Gates at $89 billion. Today, the top is Elon Musk. He has $244 billion. In 2017, Gates, his $89 billion would have ranked him 20th, I believe, or 15th or 20th on the list, right around where Bloomberg is today. Yet the median income in the country in 2017 was $61,000. The average household in 2024, it's $80,000. President Trump won because he upended the model. He got more working class voters. He ate into the minority vote with Democrats. If he is to succeed, he's got to be able to represent that $80,000 a year household as much as he represents that $244 billion household, Elon Musk. That's the challenge, and that's the rub.
He will.
He will.
Can somebody
I'm
tell
not
Harold
challenging
this
you.
isn't
I'm
Fox
saying that's
business?
A lot of numbers, Harold.
Yeah.
Jesus, it's Friday, for God's sake.
Yeah.
You're going to be so bundled up, by the way. You know he's going to have a parka. He's going to have
Yeah.
6
I'm gonna be
sets of
ready.
You're
gloves.
going to have warmers under your suit. I know you.
Yeah, you're going to.
Yeah.
Warmers under
You're
my
gonna be
suit.
like,
Well, we're
Harold,
outside.
Have you look at this?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, but no, we're going to be outside, and I can't fit
I'm gonna be
everything under
wherever
my
Greg
coat.
is. I think we're going inside.
Yeah, well, we're going to go to Chippendales first. And get you a bow tie.
Oh, boy.
You want some more numbers?
Won't tie that.
You want some more
Get
numbers?
ready for
No.
bleach in your eyes. Kathy Hochul's Geezer Dance Squad. That's right. The fastest is up next. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.